Hello and welcome to this video walkthrough of the Performance Review app in Zelt. You can access the app directly through the Growth menu here and by the Reviews app in the menu here. You can see I already have 3 different cycles currently set up, 2 annual review cycles and as well as 1 probation review cycles. And you can see that they have different states. One of them is completed already, one is ongoing, and the other one is still in draft, i.e. it's waiting to be started. So let's jump right in and take a look at the ongoing 2024 annual review cycle here. So you can just click on it and it tells you straight away the level of completion for the different review types that we have selected for this performance review cycle. In particular, you see that the total participation or completion is at 51%, which is mostly due to the fact that there are still upward reviews pending here, and these are due in 3 days. Today's the 22nd of April, right? And these ones are scheduled to end on the 25th of April. Now, here in the results page, you can see everybody who is participating in the review. So these are all the employees here that are being reviewed. And then here you can see all the statuses of the reviews that are collected and have already been submitted. So for example, here, all of the 8 employees that are being reviewed have already submitted their self-review. Their managers have already provided a review as well. And then here you can see that for Paula, for example, 2 upward reviews have already been submitted, but 6 are still outstanding. And then for all the others, the upward reviews are missing. And then here, Randolph's peer reviews have already completed as well. Then here in the score column, you can see if you have selected quantitative rating questions or scale questions, you can see the score of the person as of the current point in time. Now, to drill deeper, you can just click on review and it shows you now the results for that particular person. In particular here, you can see that there were 6 different reviews that were submitted for this person: a self-review, a manager review, 2 upward reviews, and 1 peer review. And you can see how the score for each of those reviewers compares. Now, this score is calculated as based on the answers that people gave in the review form. And in particular, you can see here the results to the questions. And I think there were 12 or 13 questions in this review. And you can see, for example, how people responded to the question, how often this employee comes up with creative solutions. Now, what you can see here is that this is a question to measure creativity, which is a factor that we use in this review. I'm coming back to the concept of factors in a second. Then this is a frequency type question and a scale question. So that means I'm asking people to A, provide a comment, but B, also to give a rating. So, rate from 1 to 5, for example. Then here, 6 means that I have received 6 answers, and this means that I have received 4 comments, so 4 text answers. So when I want to see the detailed results for this question, I just click on it, and I can see here now to this question, what are the different answers that were submitted. So in particular, I can see here the answer of the person that is subject of the review. So Paula in this case here. So you can see those answers, and then here you can see the answers of the other reviewers that also participated and what they responded on the frequency scale. So some people say always, for example, which is the highest option, and then a lot of people say often. Now, we also have a radar chart here. So these are basically all the different answers, and you can see how the person is doing on each of those. And then here in the radar chart, you can see the numeric breakdown of each of those answers. And these are color-coded by the different review types. So the green line here, these are the answers of the employee that is being reviewed. So you can see here that they, for example, these are relative scales. So if you use a 1 to 5 scale, a 4, for example, is 80%, which is what you're seeing here. And then you can compare that, for example, to different review types. Here also, you can use the factors as a metric. So this is maybe slightly hard to read because especially if you have a lot of different questions, it's a bit difficult to kind of see what's going on here. But you can use those factors if there are certain, let's say, qualities, particular areas that you want to measure better, and you can then build your questions around those particular areas, and then you can measure those. So for example, here, maybe you want to compare peer and upward feedback on these 5 different factors that we're using. So you can see, for example, that there's a discrepancy here on the teamwork factor, where the results of upward and peer reviews are slightly differing. Now, the questions and the factors that I used here, they're of course not hard-coded. So these are, of course, the questions that are used in the performance review are subject to what you're setting. So as part of the setup process of a cycle, you determine what questions you want to use. So you can see them also here in the settings. So I think to explain this a bit better, it would be useful to just go and set up a new cycle. So why don't we do that? So to set up a new cycle, you just go into the Growth app and you click on Start a New Review. You give it a name. So let's say the annual review for 2025. and a display name. So this is what the employee will see. In particular, this could maybe be a more high-level name. Maybe you have multiple different review cycles for different departments or different subset of people. So you could break that down, use the long name for internal use, and then the display name for what people actually see. Then, yeah, you can see there's a similar menu here that you saw in the ongoing cycle, except now actually you can start and build this from scratch. In particular, you can now add your questions, and there's different ways how you could do that. You could use a template to start with, and there are a number of default templates in the settings that you can use, or you can set up your own templates. In particular, I have set up a template here for myself that I could select and add. Alternatively, you can use the question bank, and the question bank also already contains a number of questions to start with, or you can add your own questions yourself and then reuse them. And reuse them just means selecting here and then adding them to the questionnaire. Or if you want to add a new question that doesn't exist yet, either in a template or the library, you just click on New Question. You determine here how that question should behave. So who should respond to that question? Should be the manager, the employee who's self-reviewing themselves, the upward, the peer. So in particular, if you use these options here, it will be a full 360 review. You can then determine the question text here, and you can type in the question that people should respond to. So for example, evaluate the creativity of the person by providing examples of creative solutions they have come up with. Then here, this is the factor that I mentioned earlier, so you can choose that factor. In this case, I would probably want to use the creativity factor, but you could also use a different one or set up a new one here, so you can set up any factor that you like, that you want to measure. And then here you have the comment. The type of the question, that means how should people answer to it. Comment means it's just a free text entry. Scale means rate from 1 to 5. There's different scale types you can use here, such as quality, so low quality to high quality, or frequency, expectations, importance, etc. You can also combine that and say, okay, please leave a comment and also give a rating. Or you can use single or multiple choice questions, and these are just options that you predefine, and it could be option A and option B, for example. The disadvantage of using single choice over the scale is that these are not numerical, i.e. you cannot measure, let's say, the score of somebody. You can only see the distribution of answers to those options. So ideally, you, when possible, use the scale questions, and this way you can use the scores and the factors, the factor breakdown rated charts. Next, you can invite your participants. So you always start from scratch, of course, and you can add participants from here. So let's say you wanted to add these 4 people, or you could use the all select here, or you could say you want to use maybe invite people only from a certain department or location. I'm just going to add a few people here for the test of it. Then here you get the options that participants are allowed to invite their peers. So either you can determine who should be the peers that review them, or you could have employees choose that themselves. Then there's a number of visibility settings. So actually, how should people receive their results? And should it be the manager that actively releases the feedback, or should it be automatically released the moment the cycle finishes? Then here in the timeline, you can actually determine until when the review should run. And you can set the different deadlines here. So in this case, I'm giving self, upward, and peer reviewers 7 days, and then managers 14 days to complete their reviews. Then there's a number of notification settings for reminders. So for example, you could send a daily reminder to people or just once a week while the cycle's ongoing. And you can also customize your default your invite message. That's basically what people see in the email as you invite them to the review. And then finally, all you need to do is just start the cycle, or you can save and close it to start it later. You also have the chance here to schedule it. So I've now here used the start immediately option, but you could, for example, say that you want to start it on, let's say, on Monday at a certain time, let's say at 10 a.m. And then when you go here to the end, you would schedule the cycle, and then Zelt would launch it automatically at that point in time. But I'm now going to switch this back for the purpose of showing this to the immediate start. And I'm now going to click the start review cycle. Now you can see this added to the list here, and you can also see that this one is now ongoing. And I can show you also the emails that are all being sent out. So all the participants are now being invited to the review. You can see here the emails that are going out in real time. And you can see here that, for example, Aiden has been invited to submit a self-review for self as part of the cycle. Something else you should be aware of is the settings part of the app. So when you go here into the settings, you can see all your review templates that you may have set up in the past and want to reuse in the future. Here, for example, I've set up a performance review template here, which has already a number of questions that I want to use for this. And so you can set up all your templates, and you can also keep editing them and evolve them over time as you please. And then secondly, you have your question library here. So this is where you add questions and basically curate your list of questions that you want to reuse over time. And then you can use those questions to add to a cycle or to a template, and then make sure that you can reuse them easily in the future. Well, thanks for tuning in. I think we will have a part 2 coming up for the employee view of how this all looks like. So it will show you how you can, how you will see it from the employee side to enter the results and keep track of also your own results in your profile. See you then.